Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to teach you everything I know about increasing testosterone. So the number one thing you can do for your health and your testosterone is sleep. At least 7 hours a night, ideally more like 8 or 9. You can see from this picture that total testosterone and free testosterone increase with the amount of sleep you get. So the more you sleep, the more testosterone you're going to have, up to a certain point of course. Beyond like 10 hours, that's actually going to be worse for your health. If you're an athlete and you're working out really hard, then you're going to need more sleep than someone who's relatively sedentary. Ideally, you want your sleep to end at the end of a full 90-minute sleep cycle. For most people, this means you want to sleep either 7.5 hours or 9 hours. That's 5 or 6 full 90-minute sleep cycles. Waking up during the deep NREM sleep stage of your sleep cycles will have you feeling very tired, while waking up during the lightest stage of REM sleep will have you feeling energized and well rested. So first, let's talk about the ideal sleep environment. You want to have a dark, cool, silent bedroom. Use blackout blinds to prevent light from leaking into your room. Try to use your bed only for sleeping and sex, and have a separate space for working or relaxing. And this will help your mind associate your bed with sleep, and you will sleep better. When it comes to nighttime, you want to dim the lights and keep the lights below eye level, because bright overhead lights mimic the sun, and that tells your brain that it's daytime and it needs to stay awake and alert, which is not what we want. So you need to decide what time you want to wake up. Let's say you want to wake up at 7 a.m. So set your alarm for 7 o'clock and you calculate your bedtime by subtracting either 7.5 or 9 hours from that wake up time. So 11:30 p.m. or 10 p.m. Then you subtract the length of time that it takes you to fall asleep. It takes me about 15 minutes to fall asleep. So if I wanted to get up at 7 a.m. with 7.5 hours sleep, my bedtime would be 11:15 p.m. And then now that you know your bedtime, you can prepare your night routine. So 2 hours before bed, you stop eating food and you use a blue light filter on your devices or use blue light blocking glasses. And then an hour before bed, dim the lights and turn off your screens, because if you have bright screens or bright lights, that's going to suppress melatonin in your brain, which will make you feel awake instead of feeling sleepy. And this night routine is basically designed to relax you, get you ready for sleep. One thing you can do for that is have a warm shower if you shower in the evening, change into your pajamas. Make sure your room is tidy so your environment is nice and clean and organized and you're not having that kind of clutter in your mind. I like to lay out my gym clothes for the next morning so there's like no resistance to working out or going to the gym the next day if that's something that you struggle with. And then use a toilet so you don't have to get up in the middle of the night, brush your teeth, and then you can do a bit of meditation or prayer to kind of quiet your mind, and then read a paper book until you're tired, preferably fiction, because that's not going to be like as stimulating. You're not going to be thinking as hard about a fiction book as opposed to a non-fiction book. And then once you're tired enough, close the book, turn the lights off and go to sleep. Ideally in the morning you want to wake up without an alarm. So if you set an alarm and you find yourself being woken up by the alarm, that means you're not getting enough sleep and you need to either go to bed earlier or wake up a bit later. If you're getting enough sleep, then you should wake up naturally a few minutes before your alarm goes off. When you get up, you want to drink some water, brush your teeth, change into your gym clothes, eat your pre-workout meal, use a toilet so you don't need to go while you're at the gym. And then most importantly, get outside, get some sunlight into your eyes while you're walking or cycling to the gym. When you get sunlight in your eyes within an hour of waking, that sets your circadian rhythm to help you wake up at this same time the next day. After that, working out in the morning is also going to help you wake up earlier, and then shower and have your post-workout meal. And generally, going outside to view the sunrise and the sunset will make you in sync with the natural daylight cycles, and that will make your sleep much easier and much deeper. After sleep, the most important thing is diet. First of all, if you're very fat, then you need to focus on losing weight. Fat contains aromatase, which converts testosterone into estrogen. If you're fat, then you're going to have a lot of aromatase in your adipose tissue, your fat tissue, which means that your testosterone is being converted into estrogen. So you're going to have low test and high estrogen. So your priority for now should be losing that fat and getting to a healthy athletic body fat percentage, like 15% or so. On the other end of the spectrum, you need to be getting enough calories. Severe caloric restriction will lower testosterone because your body needs to prioritize survival over reproduction at that point because it thinks it's starving. So it doesn't have the resources to produce testosterone. Also very important is getting enough fat in your diet. Low fat diets always decrease testosterone and high fat diets increase testosterone, but it's not exactly clear why that is yet what the mechanism is. Another important part of your diet is getting enough cholesterol. Testosterone is made from cholesterol, so if you're restricting your cholesterol intake, then you're restricting the amount of testosterone your body is producing. One of the best sources of cholesterol is eggs, specifically the egg yolk. Eggs do not cause heart disease, despite what many mainstream health sources say. They recommend limiting egg intake because the yolk contains saturated fat, but saturated fat from eggs specifically has been shown to improve cholesterol profile, increasing HDL and lowering LDL cholesterol. This shows that people may not consider this source of the nutrient. They just think if it has saturated fat, it must be bad because saturated fat increases LDL cholesterol, when that is not always the case. Next, you need to eat a sensible amount of protein. If you want to build muscle, then you want to eat about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Too low or too high protein will reduce your testosterone, but you probably don't need to worry about eating too much protein. You'd have to be eating well over like 200 grams a day to see any reductions from that amount of protein. Next, two important minerals that are deficient in most people's diets: zinc and magnesium. And I recommend supplementing these two, especially magnesium. You can get zinc from shellfish and meat, and you can get magnesium from dark chocolate, avocados, nuts, and legumes. But generally most soils are deficient in magnesium, so then the plants that you eat aren't going to have much magnesium in them. You can get other micronutrients you need from things like raw carrots, berries, boiled leafy greens like spinach and kale, and potato. Next, vitamin D is extremely important for testosterone levels. You want to work up to getting at least 20 to 30 minutes of sunlight on your skin every day without sunscreen, ideally with your shirt off to expose as much skin area as possible. If you've spent most of your time inside for years, then start with like 5 minutes of exposure a day and slowly increase by a few minutes every few days until you can handle 30 minutes without getting burnt. And I would also recommend supplementing vitamin D at least 1000 IU every day, and you can do up to 4000 IU safely. Low carb diets have also been shown to increase testosterone levels. High carb foods like bread and pasta will spike your insulin, which increases your body fat to store the excess energy. Body fat contains aromatase, like I mentioned earlier, which will convert testosterone to estrogen. Another interesting molecule is ecdysterone. This is a steroid molecule which naturally occurs in quinoa and spinach, which is so effective at enhancing performance and muscle growth that scientists suggest it should be a prohibited substance like exogenous testosterone or trenbolone acetate. So you can get this from quinoa or spinach. Make sure you boil the spinach before you eat it, because spinach contains oxalates which bind to calcium and prevent your body from taking in the calcium, and also makes you more susceptible to developing kidney stones. Next, creatine monohydrate increases dihydrotestosterone, which is a molecule related to testosterone which also binds to the androgen receptor. So DHT, dihydrotestosterone, binds to the same receptor that testosterone binds to, and supplementing creatine can increase this DHT, and this leads to increased beard growth. And if you're prone to hair loss, it can also lead to hair loss because DHT, while increasing facial hair growth, also promotes hair loss in people who are susceptible to balding. So for a summary of what you should be eating for testosterone, every day you should be having meat, eggs, berries, orange, boiled leafy greens, carrot, potato, almonds, and white rice as much as you need to fuel your workouts. Supplement with vitamin D, magnesium, and zinc, and put salt on your meals. The berries, oranges, leafy greens, carrots, all that is for micronutrients. The meat and eggs are for protein and other nutrients like cholesterol and choline. White rice for energy. Salt for electrolytes, so you can be truly hydrated, because water alone doesn't hydrate you. You need to have a good balance of electrolytes, so sodium and potassium, in your tissues. Once a week you want to have liver, which is one of the most nutritious foods in existence, because a lot of the body's nutrients are stored in the liver. 2 to 3 times a week you want to have fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, or sardine. This is really good for omega-3 fatty acids, which are chronically low in the American diet, because the American diet tends to have far too many omega-6 fatty acids from seed oils, which are in basically all the processed foods that you guys eat. So you want to limit the seed oils and the omega-6s that you're eating, and try to increase the omega-3s from nuts like almonds and fatty fish. Ideally, all your food comes from the highest quality sources available to you, so organic, grass-fed, wild-caught salmon, that kind of thing. And you want to wash your fruit and veg thoroughly to minimize pesticide exposure. A lot of you watching this are going to be really young and won't be able to afford organic stuff. So you want to just get the best quality stuff you can afford. And once you're making more money, make it a priority to buy really high quality food, because the return on investment in your health is going to be so beneficial. You might think that it's expensive to buy organic stuff, but it's going to be very expensive when you start getting sick in your 40s or 50s because you've been eating a horrible processed diet all your life. The least you can do right now is try to minimize the amount of processed garbage you eat, like store-bought pizza, soda, cake, cookies, chips, and that kind of stuff. Try and eat more whole foods like meat, eggs, fruit, nuts, and vegetables. The next step is eliminating toxic chemicals from your environment. Phytoestrogens are estrogen-like compounds found in plant foods. They're not as harmful as xenoestrogens, which I'll talk about in a bit, but you definitely want to eliminate phytoestrogens from your diet as much as you can. These are mostly found in things like soy and flax. Foods with high polyphenol content are also high in phytoestrogens, like blueberries and cherries. But since berries are so good for you, I still recommend eating them, at least in small amounts. And xenoestrogens are man-made chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. Estrogen is produced during the breakdown of testosterone. If the body detects too much estrogen from xenoestrogens or other sources, then it will decrease testosterone production in order to reduce the amount of estrogen, because it thinks since the estrogen is too high, the testosterone must also be too high. So we're going to cut down on testosterone production to bring the estrogen down to a normal level. Unfortunately, this means that your estrogen to testosterone balance goes completely out of whack. So you have high estrogen and low testosterone, which is terrible for your health, your well-being, athletic performance, and everything. Xenoestrogens can be found in things like plastic water bottles and food containers, which contain BPA, which is a xenoestrogen. The microplastics can leach into the food or the water in these containers, especially when they're heated up. So you want to use metal water bottles and glass food containers. Thermal receipts are also coated in BPA, which can absorb into your skin when you touch the receipts. And you definitely don't want to use hand sanitizer before or after touching receipts, because hand sanitizer increases the absorption of BPA into your skin by over 100 times. So try and avoid touching receipts wherever you can. Polyester clothes, especially workout clothes, also have microplastics which can absorb into your skin and act like estrogen in the body. This is a big problem for workout clothes because obviously you're working out, you're sweating, you're heating up, and that increases the absorption of these plastics into your body. So you want to wear natural fibers like cotton, linen, and wool. For workout clothes, try and find cotton and try to minimize wearing polyester stuff. Another source of xenoestrogens is birth control in the water supply. So women on birth control pee out the estrogen and progesterone they take from these pills into the toilet, and this is not filtered out of the water supply. So the tap water you're drinking might have birth control in it. So ideally you want to get a water filter or avoid drinking tap water as much as possible. You can hydrate yourself by eating juicy fruit and vegetables, drinking coconut water and fruit juices, and these are even more hydrating than water because they contain electrolytes. Like I mentioned earlier, true hydration is the balancing of electrolytes like sodium and potassium in your body, which you don't get from just water. Also, your skincare and your hygiene products might have parabens and phthalates in them, which are proven xenoestrogens. Whatever you put on your skin gets absorbed into your body, so it's best to try and find skincare and hygiene products that contain natural or food ingredients rather than man-made chemicals. You can use olive oil soap to wash your body, shampoo that doesn't contain parabens or phthalates like this Faith in Nature shampoo, coconut oil or olive oil as hair oil, beef tallow as face moisturizer, and coconut oil as body moisturizer. So try to find products which are derived from natural ingredients. Even if they're not a pure natural product, it's better than harsh chemicals which are found in most cheap hygiene products. And lastly, you want to try to buy whole, organic, locally grown, in-season foods where possible. Non-organic crops are sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, and other nasty stuff, which can have an estrogenic effect on your body. Non-organic animal products come from foods fed soy or grains which are coated with pesticides. The animals have been injected with antibiotics and growth hormones in inhumane living conditions. Really, if you have the money, there's no reason not to buy organic. And now, one of the main ones that people talk about is exercise. Obviously, lifting heavy weights increases your testosterone, and the more muscle fibers that are recruited, the bigger the testosterone boost. This means you want to do heavy weights because heavy weights require you to recruit high threshold motor units, which means that almost all of the muscle fibers in your muscle are being recruited to move that heavy weight. You want to do compound movements which engage as much muscle mass as possible, like the bench press, which engages your chest, triceps and shoulders, or the squat, which engages your lower back, glutes and your quads. Compound movements which engage as much muscle mass as possible are going to increase your testosterone more than a small isolation movement like a dumbbell curl. And you want to be really squeezing out those last couple reps, struggling to finish that set but not reaching failure. Once you go all the way to failure, the fatigue becomes too much, and then that's not optimal for testosterone. And try to keep the sets around 6 to 8 reps, so quite heavy but a good amount of volume. You also want to do full body workouts which will recruit the most muscle fibers in your body and cause the biggest increase in testosterone. If you just do an upper body workout, that won't increase your testosterone as much as if you did legs as well in the same workout. Also important is the duration of the workout. You want to try and keep the strength sessions to under 1 hour and 75 minutes at most. If it goes on for much longer than that, then your cortisol, which is a stress hormone, will get too high and testosterone will start to drop as a result of this. So to do this, you want to keep your rest periods short. Having short rest periods will mean that you won't perform as well, your strength won't be as good, but for optimizing testosterone, you want to keep the intensity high, and that requires short rest periods and a short overall session. Another thing you can do for testosterone is to sprint, maybe once a week, once every 10 days or so. You can do this workout, which is going to increase your growth hormone by about 771%, and growth hormone in turn triggers testosterone production. So you want to sprint all out 20 to 30 seconds and then rest 90 seconds and repeat that 8 times total. Also, if you want to do weights and cardio in the same session, do your weights first if testosterone is a priority for you. Doing the cardio first will increase your cortisol too much, and cortisol decreases testosterone. So you want to do that after you've already done your weight session. And ideally you do weights and cardio on separate days, or if you're going to do it in the same day, you do it in separate sessions separated by at least 6 hours in between the strength workout in the morning and the cardio workout in the afternoon. And when you do your long duration cardio, you want to limit this to a low intensity. If you're doing long duration, moderate intensity cardio, the cortisol is going to get too high, and again, that's going to lower your testosterone. Next, another really important one is competition. During a competition, both competitors' testosterone levels are increased because having higher testosterone is going to make you more likely to win that competition, especially if it's a combat sport like some martial art or boxing. The winner's testosterone is massively boosted and the loser's is actually decreased. But if you're thinking, I'm going to avoid competition then because if I lose, my testosterone is going to be decreased, chances are you're already low testosterone for having that kind of thought in the first place, because a high testosterone person would be excited by the potential gain rather than fear of the loss. So if testosterone is something that's important to you, then you're going to have to compete in some endeavor like martial arts or football or powerlifting, something where you're trying to beat other people. Next is stress. So chronic stress is very bad for testosterone. If you're just constantly anxious and afraid all the time, your cortisol is going to be too high and testosterone is going to be low. But if you face the stressful stimulus directly and advance towards it, that's going to be really good for your testosterone and your mindset. When you see yourself as voluntarily inviting this stress upon yourself in order to challenge you and make you stronger, that will produce much better adaptations in your brain and your body than if you saw the stress as being imposed on you from the outside. So if you got laid off from your job, that would be stressful and that would probably decrease your testosterone. But if you chose to go to the gym and attack the weights or spar with another man in boxing, you have chosen to do that for the purpose of becoming stronger and more skilled. And that kind of stress is extremely beneficial and can increase testosterone. But you want to choose your battles. Most of the time you should not be stressed. You should be calm, chilled out in a parasympathetic state, which means your nervous system is calm. You're breathing deeply and slowly. You're not like anxious and jittery. And then occasionally you have acute stresses in your life, like a hard gym session that you have chosen to go to. But that's not like extended throughout your entire day. So that stress is limited to these little windows where you have chosen to voluntarily face this stress. So to help you manage your stress during the majority of your day where you don't want to be stressed out, you can do things like sleep and meditate, go for walks, limit your caffeine intake, that can make you quite anxious and jittery, and generally don't dwell on negative, stressful things. Like if there's nothing you can do about a situation, don't let it stress you out. Don't give it any attention unless there is something you can do to fix that situation. In which case you can switch on that like focus stress mode and then sort the problem and then go back to being calm and stress free. And another quick note is to keep your testicles cool. If they get warmed up, that first of all kills your sperm, reduces your testosterone production. So you want your balls to be cool, which means you don't want to wear tight underwear, especially tight polyester underwear, and you can take cold baths or cold showers, and generally just try not to get your body too hot unless you're exercising or using the sauna. And another thing that could be beneficial is Nofap. So abstaining from ejaculation for 7 days causes a temporary 45% increase in testosterone. But this does soon go back down to baseline levels after this 7th day. And another question I've been asked is, do steroids increase testosterone? If you inject testosterone or some similar molecule into yourself, then you're going to see the markers of testosterone in your body, like facial hair and muscle growth, increase. But when you do this, it shuts down your natural testosterone production. So your body detects that there's too much testosterone in your system, so it turns off the natural production. And this is partly why after someone stops using steroids, they lose a lot of their muscle and they get many symptoms of low testosterone, because their body is no longer producing testosterone because they were injecting it and they were getting all the testosterone it needed from the injections. So the body didn't need it anymore, so it stopped making it. So to summarize everything I've talked about in this video, you need to be getting good sleep, at least 7 to 9 hours a night. You want to eat a high-fat diet, something like the keto diet, paleo, primal diet. Buy organic food if possible, the highest quality food you can find. Supplement with vitamin D, zinc and magnesium. Get sunlight daily. Limit phytoestrogens from things like soy. Limit xenoestrogens from plastics, chemical skincare and hygiene products, tap water and polyester clothes. Lift heavy weights and sprint every now and then. Do some kind of competition like martial arts, football or powerlifting. Overcome challenges and face stress, and then do some kind of cold exposure like cold showers, and keep your balls cool. I hope this was useful for you guys. This took a very long time to make, so I'd appreciate it if you commented, liked, shared and subscribed. Let me know what you thought, if there's any other things that you know of that can increase testosterone, and I will see you in the next video.